Steve and Alan's Pro Tips in a short time. Learn a lot.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Music Ed Insights with another quick pro tip. Alan here, and today I want to share a simple strategy to help reduce your planning time stress. I call it the pecking order approach. Joining me as always is my co-host Steve. Hey Steve.
Hey Alan, before we get to your pecking order, beginning of the year, think about your health. Consider getting your hearing checked if you haven't already. Just had a buddy of mine get his checked, realized that he's losing some hearing in his left ear and is going to get some hearing protection. So thought that'd be a good beginning of the year reminder. But we're here to talk about pecking order. Sounds a little bit like a barnyard strategy. What do you mean by that?
That's a fair question. No, not talking about chickens. The pecking order approach is all about prioritizing what gets your attention when you're planning out your day or your week. So we think of it as a way to streamline your focus so you don't get overwhelmed trying to figure out what to do next.
I am sold. How does it work?
The idea is to categorize your to-dos based on who needs what and by when. I've broken it down into two broad time frames: what needs to be done in the next 24 hours and what needs to be addressed in the longer term. This way, you're always prioritizing the most urgent needs while keeping an eye on long-term projects.
Makes sense. So what's the pecking order exactly within these time frames?
Student, teammate, administration, parent. So first priority, if a student needs something in the next 24 hours, like you need to prepare materials for a lesson or rehearsal, you do that first. If a class needs a lesson plan that you're teaching in the next day, that goes to the top of the list.
Wait a minute. So if I'm really busy and I need to write a letter to my parents, I should not cancel my next lesson to do that?
That's correct. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Good application. So next, after students, is teammates, fellow faculty. Maybe you're co-teaching a class, you're collaborating on a concert or other events. If you've got a colleague who needs you to get them a schedule or materials, that comes right after student needs. Administration needs, that's number 3. They'd like to think they're number 1, but they are number 3. So that's stuff like submitting a bus request, where the deadline is today, filling out a report, updating your grade book, anything that your administration expects from you in the next 24 hours.
All right. Unless they say, hey, come to my office right now, in which case we probably should do that, right?
Yeah, or you could ask permission to delay. You could say, I'm working on a thing for a student. Can I come in an hour? And then that sends the message that they're important to you because you responded right away, but you also care about the kids first. And most administrators talk about that. So that's just one idea.
Sneaky. All right, I like
you
it.
Got that. Okay, number 4, after student, teammate, admin, then comes parents. If you've got an email or a message from a parent that requires a response, prioritize that next. Good communication is key, and quick replies build trust. And I'm not talking about parent needs for the next 24 hours. I'm going to abandon the time frame for this one. Even if you know that the parent doesn't really need the answer for like another few days, it's just a good idea to get those parents satisfied so that they know they've heard from you.
So far, what you're describing sounds kind of what I call putting out the biggest fires. My guess is probably a lot of our listeners do a good job of putting out the most important, biggest fires. Maybe some can get off track, but my guess is the longer term pecking order is where some people, for example, me, struggle. So what do you got for us on that?
Yeah. And I think you're right about, hey, the biggest fires make sense, but sometimes you feel like you've got 6 big fires at the same time. And so that's where I think that next 24 hours time frame and still going student, teammate, admin, parent can still work.
Yeah, good.
So same order, only because we've already taken care of parents. It's just student, teammate, admin. So, but still, if it's long-term, student needs first, like score study for upcoming concerts, mapping out your curriculum for next semester, or planning future lessons. Things that you don't have to do today, but they're critical for success down the line. And you might need to coordinate stuff with fellow music faculty, rehearsal plans for the next week, setting up long-term projects with your teaching team, doing some curriculum, mapping homework. Treat your teammates with a little higher priority than admin. That's one thing I think we can sometimes lose. And then move to your administration needs, calendar requests for the next year, strategic planning with your department if they want that from you, or anything the admin will need, but not immediately.
Yeah, this makes sense. Very clear. I think it make sure that the most critical people, students first, and then your immediate working colleagues and the administration, that they're taken care of in the right order.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the key. By using this approach, I'm also not spending time worrying about future projects or what to do next, because I know that something more urgent is sitting right in front of me, and I have figured that out by using the pecking order. It keeps my stress levels down because I know I'm tackling the right priority.
So when you're making this pecking order, do you actually write it down, or are you just thinking about it?
I think it's helpful to write it down, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed. I mean, you can just make a quick list on a sticky note: student, teammate, admin, parent, and stick it someplace where you can see it, and then and then move it after you stop seeing it, right? That way I'm not constantly switching focus or second guessing what I'm supposed to be working on.
All right, so that all makes sense. I bet we've got at least a few people listening saying, yeah, I do that. I make the lists and I'm still struggling. What do you say to those people who still struggle to get it all done?
Just think about the next day. Anything that needs to be done for the next day, follow that pecking order. Just think about that. Just write that. Don't look at a to-do list that involves anything more than that. Give yourself permission to just ignore long-term stuff until later. It's totally okay if they don't even get thought about, much less touched today. You will tackle them when you have time.
Yeah, this sounds kind of similar to my approach. I have my eventual list, and I never do anything on the eventual list. But what happens is the stuff on the eventual list, like, for example, today I woke up and was looking at my eventual list and thought, that has to be done today now. So that works for me anyway. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. So I appreciate this, Alan. This sounds like a great way to kind of cut through the chaos and stay focused.
I just hope it helps people find a little more peace in people's planning. Just remember, prioritize the people who need you first. The rest will fall into place. And those people are your students.
Great tip, Alan. And thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Steve and Alan's Pro Tips in a Short Time Learner.